What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Skull and Bones. Now, I had just talked about this on the main channel a few weeks ago, talking about its possibility of being at E3, and let me make this very clear. I still think it's possible. I really, really do. I don't think it's the most likely thing in the world, but I still think it's possible. But, you know, yesterday, obviously, we got a lot of news, a lot of earnings calls, a lot of fiscal reports from EA and Ubisoft. I think they decided to go literally on the same day, and we learned a lot from EA, like with Battlefield coming out on both generations instead of just next gen. From Ubisoft, we heard about their push for the free-to-play model, right, which their investors were not very happy with. But we got a lot of info, and one of the things that we got info on was Skull and Bones. Simply that they basically broke down which games are coming out when, okay? Prince of Persia, they even talked about just a little bit. Far Cry 6 is still coming out before the end of September, so there's some positives, of Ubisoft that are coming. But one thing with Skull and Bones that it's been pushed, so now I believe it can come out anywhere between like April of 2022, I think like March of 2023. So that's the new window for it. Doesn't mean it has to come out during that time. I think for the first time in a long time that it could actually be that's the release window, it's a soft release window, you know what I mean, because it's not like they're actually saying it's going to come out that time. Whereas before, these past several years, every single time they do this report, every single time they move Skull and Bones. So that's why I say release window, it's hard to call it that, because in reality they're just saying, well, it's not coming out in this year, so it's going to come out probably, the next fiscal report. And I guess, and they put that in their charts and stuff, but the game's been delayed again, okay? The game's been delayed. Now, that's, I guess, the biggest news. People will probably look at that and say, the game's delayed again. And I get that this game could very well be a laughingstock, and I don't blame people for laughing at this game because it has had a very rough development. It's been development hell. But here's the deal. It was. These are things that were past tense, I truly believe. Now, the product is going to be, the biggest factor, right? If the game comes out and it's amazing, a lot of people that were being very mad at this game or being pretty hateful about this game may look pretty stupid. If the game comes out and it's trash, it's awful, then there's going to be a lot of people disappointed, there's going to be a lot of people angry, and there's going to be a lot of people that also just flat out are not shocked, right? Because they're going to say, told you so. So I personally think this game still has a good shot of being good. During the fiscal report, they didn't just say that the game's coming out in 2022, 2023. They also talked a little bit about the development, namely that it's going really well and that they're really happy with where they are, okay? And that the progress of making the game is going well. So, and here's the deal. Of course you're going to say that for any game. There's very few examples where the company would probably come out and just outright, specifically because, by the way, you're doing this in front of investors, you're doing this in front of people that are giving you money, and these are your, lifeline people. And like I said, when Ubisoft said the free-to-play thing, although it's being misinterpreted exactly what they meant by that, which, again, is kind of, they didn't mean it as badly as some people are saying, but the investors were not happy with that. There was a lot of questions from investors saying, I don't, why are you doing this? So you don't want to get in too much trouble, but you want to try to be, I guess, as honest as possible, because these are the people that you need to basically be honest with. If there's anybody you're going to be honest with as a company, it's probably not the fans, it's probably your investors, and then the fans kind of hear it, trickling down. But that's another reason, honestly, why I believe that Skull and Bones is doing okay. Not that it's the most important thing for them to tell investors that, yeah, this game that we've pushed 30 times, it's doing terrible, and, don't expect it to do well. They could say that, and that probably would affect them a little bit negatively, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I know it sounds bad, but I really don't think it would be all that bad. But, so I do believe, the flip side, I do believe when they talk pretty positively about this game, that they do mean it, that the game's in a good place. And the reason is, well, what do we know about this game? Well, we know the game, in the state that it was pretty okay. In the state that it was, meaning the one that we saw at E3 and the gameplay and the trailer and they talked about and all that stuff. That game was going well, and it was going fine actually. And then they did to be honest, I'd love to talk to some people there, because we know that the game basically was rebooted. I think around 2 times. It was rebooted about twice, in that they just they were trying to do things, and people were leaving, like high-level people. They were leaving, new people were coming in, and the product we're going to get now is very different than the product we were going to get back in 2017 when we first saw the game. You know what I mean? So, it was all these things that are negative about the game. I'm not saying you can't say them. I'm not even saying you can't be negative about the game now. I mean, it's your right to do it. And again, I understand why people would put this game down. You know what I mean? What good signs have we really had from this game? I'm just trying to be. I guess I'm not even trying. I'm optimistic. I'm a more optimistic person just in general in life, and I am honestly pretty optimistic about this game. But I don't blame you if you're down on this game, because I do think for years this game was in a terrible place, which is kind of ironic and weird because the game actually was fine. Like, it seemed fine. Everybody talked about it fine. And then I really think, I'm not saying like we, the fans, destroyed the game, but we kind of did in a way, because when they did the gameplay thing and all this stuff kind of came out about what kind of game it was going to be, there was a lot of backlash. And again, I'm not saying we shouldn't have done it, because in reality, we should. We buy the game. We can demand, honestly, whatever we want from the game, like going towards threats and going to stuff like that. No, but like if we want something in a game, I don't think it's wrong for us to kind of voice our opinion. We're the ones buying it. So, again, like the no exploration, the no like sword fights, like literally you shoot down ships, and if you board them, it's like a cutscene. It's not you actually fighting. So it was a very bare bones, or was going to be a very bare bones game. I think it's pretty clear, at least in my opinion, that they went behind the scenes and they said, okay, fans are upset, they're mad, they're willing to burn down our studio. We need to add some of these highly requested features, which aren't even that crazy. They're not even that radical. Like, these are things we probably should have had in the game. And for some reason, at some point, the game just exploded on them. Maybe their studio did catch fire, right? And then everything kind of went down the hole. And again, I think the game was in limbo/development hell for at least like a year or so. But the thing is, again, what I tell people now when they are negative about the game is like, again, you can be negative, but I think the game honestly is in a good place. I feel like the product we're gonna eventually get, when we see the game. Now, I don't know when we see the game. I don't know if the game actually does release next year. I'd love it to release next year, right? But I think the next time we see it, and the game that we get is a game that's been developed the last 2 or so years. Don't think of this game as a game that's been in development for, and I don't even know, like we saw it at E3 of 2017, okay? I believe that was the first time we saw it. Say it was being made for like a year before then. This is not a game right now that's been made for 5 years. This is a game that's been made for probably 2 to 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So, like, and people will probably judge it, some people will probably judge it as a game that has been like over half a decade, basically, of development by the time we get it. I personally will not, because I don't think that's fair. I think that the game has had a rough time, but I think where it is now is actually in a better state. So, the delay thing is something that I expected. I honestly didn't even think they would talk about Skull and Bones, so just the fact that they mentioned it, and they did say stuff out loud about it. So, like, that's definitely exciting. Again, they said they're happy with where it's at. They said that they're progressing well. All good signs, all good signs. And again, yeah, you would say that for any game, but I really think where they're at now is a lot better than what they would have said 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they weren't saying anything about this game. They were they were saying similar things, but not exactly the same thing, and mainly they were just pushing it. They were mainly just delaying it. That was kind of the main focus. Now it seems it's a little better. So I cannot wait, to be flat honest with you, I cannot wait to actually see this game. I really hope it's at E3. I'm not counting on it, but I do hope, and I do think it's possible that it's at E3. Especially, if it comes out another year from now, you can start showing it again. Even if it's delayed a little bit, you could probably re-show it just to kind of give fans that honestly are still here. We're also, like, raise your hand if you're still here. We're still here, and we want info. I think we want to see the game again, and I think we are all praying and crossing our fingers that when we do see the game again, it's got all the features that we originally wanted in the game. That's, I think, the biggest hope from me, and I think from the fans as well. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? You disappointed by the delay? Do you believe that it's in a good place? Do you think they're lying maybe and it's in a terrible place? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I do a brand new video every single day, one video a day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.